start questioning what type of person Keke Palmer is and what type of role she plays within the industry. Because it is very apparent to me, and I am not blind to the fact that Keke Palmer has a history of defending and platforming villainous people. Every time someone is in the media for something particularly controversial, it seems like they're sent to Keke Palmer for her to save the day. I won't forget that time that Offset was cheating on Cardi B, or something was going on with Cardi B, and instead of allowing Offset to answer for himself, she basically gave him a way out. And she did the same thing with Ice Spice, did the same thing with Jonathan Majors. Not too long ago, she was on a podcast or she was on stream with Blueface. So it seems to me that Keke Palmer has a particular history with particularly heinous people. People who have a negative light or negative publicity. Somehow she always has to be the voice for them. I find that interesting. I find that interesting. And not to mention her own very flawed choices within media, right? That chicken and waffles shit, or fried rice and waffles, or whatever the fuck it was. Very telling about what type of person Keke Palmer is and the role that she plays in Black culture. And so I'm not surprised at all that she has platformed a person who's getting backlash from women. Keke Palmer is what we call controlled opposition, right? She looks very relatable. She looks like the type of person that us as common person can understand, or that she can understand us. I want us to think about that when we're thinking about the type of person or the type of people that Keke Palmer is always platforming. She exists for one thing and one thing only, and that is to protect the image of the rich and the elites. Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You know what? I actually want to start this video off by saying this. You guys, I really, really like Keke Palmer. And unfortunately, I think that might be part of the problem. Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Catherine. And if you do know me, you'll know that sometimes we, we venture into these types of topics. Today, I want to talk about Keke Palmer. First off, we are looking at, just objectively, an extraordinarily talented woman here, okay? She is funny, she is charismatic.
I know it ain't Keke Palmer. You know it's your girl.
She has this unusual capacity to make a room feel smaller and simultaneously more alive just by the invitation of her presence.
Why would she do that like that? I won't get over that. I will not get over Cynthia Erivo doing that to the death of me. That literally, when I tell you I was in the bathroom, in the shower, in the kitchen doing that same thing, I'm like, yes, let me free.
But in all of that, I do believe that there is something worthy of a harsher eye, a closer interrogation, if you will, when we look at someone like this and when we examine more cases of essentially when a damaged reputation enters the gravitational field of a sufficiently likable person. And obviously that is what Keke Palmer is. She is likable, she's personable, she is unbelievably endearing. But what I believe starts to happen when you are in proximity to a person like that is the damage begins to look smaller.
I know I'm not the only one that is noticing this, but Keke Palmer has been moving really weird lately for the past, I would say, 2-3 years. And not the good kind of weird. She always seems to want to be on the wrong side of history. It's like the right side is right there, but she wants to go left. First, with the R. Kelly situation, when I heard about the R. Kelly situation, I stopped supporting her. I said, she did what? She said, what? And then the Jonathan Majors thing. And now Drew Afwalo. Drew, you want to invite Drew to your podcast. This woman who is calling biological women TERFs, transphobes, homophobes, for simply saying, yeah, a trans person does not live better than, or knows better about what being a woman is like. And you want to have her on there? And you want her to use you as a Black woman to try and help her see a different side? Because they like to go to Black women when they're being attacked. They want to go to Black women to get saved. And you just, and I get it. I don't expect Black women to be the saviors to Black women and save everybody, because that's way too much. But I at least need you to have some kind of understanding. Understand when to stand in solidarity. And I get it. She may not care, She's just going to do what she wants to do, which is fine. And at the end of the day, you as the audience, you get to decide whether you want to keep supporting her or not. Because don't get me wrong, I used to like her. She's funny. But the more these celebrities show me that they're not really the type of people that I want to associate with, the more I'm like, okay, I'm backing out. I'm backing out. I blocked Drew, so now I'm gonna block you, Keke, because you move. I don't like the way you move. I don't.
To start things off though, I think it would be responsible just to qualify for, like, just first and foremost, the nature of my critique here, because honestly, the internet is cruel enough. I really want to isolate Keke Palmer as a person and her function as an instrument that her public perception performs in entertainment culture. Specifically, what happens when an extraordinarily charismatic celebrity is habitually realized as the vessel through which audiences are invited to encounter people whose reputations have become morally difficult. So in my previous video, or actually it might be the one you're about to see, depending on which one I decide to release first, a marker, right, of our generation is our hyper-suspicion, especially towards unnatural incentive, narrative engineering, the machinery behind exposure, and particularly the type of exposure that involves the creation or the rehabilitation of an image. We as a generation have become painfully alive to the apparatus, okay? We notice who receives a podcast. We see who suddenly gets a sympathetic profile. We are sensitive to who is given the long form interview rather than the incriminatory interrogation, right? Who is given that, who is given that extra, the benefit of the doubt, essentially, to explain themselves, particularly in an environment developed deliberately for parasocial endearment. We notice when a celebrity or a specific public figure's worst moments are presented through laughter, right? Through vulnerability, through a compelling story, through this delicately curated lens into who they really are. We have long understood and become alive to the fact that, you guys, the entertainment industry more than just manufactures stars. It more than just produces these talents and, you know, pushes them, markets them, funds them, but it also manufactures the context through which stars acquire, maintain, and revise their profiles. That is why I don't think it is necessarily that people are turning on Keke Palmer as much as it really is that they are turning their suspicion against the operation she appears to occupy within a larger device of rehabilitation, of influence, and of synthetic personability. We have learned, I think, to get beyond their quirkiness, get beyond how genuinely personable their characters are, and ask ourselves, okay, why are we actually being influenced to sympathize ourselves to this particular person? This question is going to become increasingly urgent, especially so in the age of celebrity podcasts, but more so YouTube, you know, interviews, AI generated personalities, because I think, for better or for worse, you guys, we're living in an age where the old qualifier between publicity and intimacy has essentially collapsed. The PR statement, I believe, is actually refreshingly blatant because it doesn't pretend about what it's trying to be. I'm so sorry, guys. The lighting is just not working with me. Just give me a moment. We'll just have to work with it. As I was saying, it is blatant, right? It tells us, okay, this is what our clients want you as an audience to know. The podcast says, okay, come, sit down, let's relax, let's have a conversation, let's discover who this person really is. Even celebrity interviews, but notably in the traditional sense, are less these genuine journalistic endeavors and more so a reputation theater.
And you know what? I think they should have canceled the Jimmy Fallon show, because why the was Conor McGregor the rapist on your show? The woman that he had to have her tampon surgically removed because he raped her while she was on her period. Everyone's pro putting a rapist down until it's your favorite celebrity, favorite athlete, your friend, etc.
Where did you get the term notorious? Where'd you get that?
My nickname is Notorious. My fight name is Notorious. It actually came because I had a habit of getting into trouble when I was younger, a little bit, and my coach had me saved in the phone as Trouble. Actually, that was
your name in his phone.
That was my name in his phone. Yeah, Trouble.
But both can negotiate quite effectively for the same effect: controlled access to a carefully mediated disposition of character. And you guys, that is precisely the thing about it. That's why this kind of video I want to make with sympathy, because Keke Palmer is the perfect person to do this kind of thing. She is so, like I said, she's so charismatic. She's so electric in her presence. She is truly the perfect person for the assignment. What happens is this guest arrives on the podcast or the platform or whatever it happens to be. carrying this accumulated public record. The host's job is to supply warmth, to supply laughter, to supply chemistry, to mediate an ordinary human conversation, and then all of a sudden by the end of it, we're no longer thinking about the allegation, about the scandal, whatever it happens to be, the clip, the accusation, the public harm. You get my point, okay? We're no longer thinking about those things. They're no longer in our like front and center because they're so nice, right? We like them as a person. We are sympathized to an individual who laughs at the right moment, compliments the host, reveals some very human insecurity, talks about their mother, talks about, just says something unexpectedly tender, something that just feels like, oh, how can we hate them? They're so sweet. See what I'm saying, right? It's about engineering an environment that is so delicately, so intentionally really curated for parasocial familiarization. Charisma performs moral dilution, and that is precisely what Keke does. It's not that the person has suddenly become less culpable, it's more so that the audience has been afforded a more emotionally congenial object through which to perceive them, and most urgently, through which to perceive whatever it is they've done. That is why so many people's observation that Keke's personality in general tends to take up a room is so urgent. It's so, I honestly, guys, I'm so proud of us for recognizing this, because it proves as an audience, we are becoming a lot less gullible. We are paying attention here. We are realizing that charisma can often function as a solvent. It dissolves the hard edges around somebody else's public image. I like that we're paying attention, because for better or for worse, audiences are becoming increasingly more hyper-conscious of the machinery behind celebrity culture. We don't merely watch the interview anymore. We ask, okay, but why this person, right? Why now? Who benefits? What narrative is being actively rehabilitated, right? Why am I being asked as an audience to feel differently about this person? That is the new hyper-consciousness. Obviously, late night television had their version of this for decades, but I think in the age of social media, the machinery is being made a lot more visible in real time. The comment section detects the narrative, old receipts inevitably resurface, fandoms compare appearances, and suddenly the interview itself becomes the evidence. The audience has effectively become media literate enough to watch the publicist watching audience. And like I said in the beginning, you guys, I am not mad about this at all. Now, obviously, there is nuance to this, okay? Not every rehabilitation is fraudulent. People can genuinely change. Forgiveness is real. Come on. Sorry, this lighting is driving me crazy. Okay. Yes. Forgiveness is real. Redemption is real. Public condemnation can be... There we go. Public condemnation can be so unnecessarily cruel, but there is a difference between redemption and reputation management. Redemption forces us to ask ourselves what this person has actually materially done differently. Reputation management asks, okay, how can we make the audience feel differently about what this person did? Those are not remotely the same question, and this is where I'm going to be delicate with my language and what I'm saying, because, I don't want to get sued. But you guys, I think there is more than one way that one can sell their soul. Selling one's soul, at least metaphorically, doesn't, in my opinion, mean doing something spectacularly evil for money. Sometimes it means repeatedly lending one's moral credibility towards something that right deep down inside deserves a lot more scrutiny. I'm talking about the gradual exchange of moral authority for friendship, for proximity, for influence, for career opportunity, for institutional favor, or simply the pleasure of being liked again. The true nature of a Faustian bargain is rarely ever this, this malevolent transformation into a villain, and then suddenly you become evil, and suddenly you are morally corrupt, and you can't make objectively good decisions. No, it's not that. It's more often that somebody agrees within themselves and amongst other people that they will stop asking certain questions, because asking those questions has become inconvenient to the particular apparatus. And so at what point does radical empathy turn into moral negligence? Because genuinely, okay, there's something beautiful about refusing to turn a human being into their worst act. But there's also a point in which refusing to address someone within the context of their worst act becomes a refusal to take the claims, to take the accusations, to take, maybe not even accusations in certain contexts, specifically Drew Afualo, I hope I'm saying her name right, but at the very least, assessing and asking this person questions within the appropriate context of what they've done, this exercise becomes a carefully engineered excuse not to take the claim seriously when they need to be taken seriously. Repentance must be legible in conduct, and as a Christian, I want to be sensitive to navigating that tension, especially so in advocacy for another person's humanity, regardless, okay, of what they've done. I don't know what Keke believes. I don't know if she said, all of them say they believe in God, but who knows? I don't know. But my point is, there's a certain value framework through which I always want to approach interrogating human beings, right? People. Because the question for me is never whether or not someone, quote unquote, deserves, right, to be humanized. I think everyone does. And I don't think it's a matter of who deserves what. The question is whether or not humanization has become a substitute for accountability. And obviously it isn't, you guys. We're so much better than this. So, yeah, that is my concluding point. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope to see you very, very soon. This might be like, I'm not sure which video I will post first. You might see this one, you might see the next one, you might only see one. I don't know. You might have to forget I even mentioned this, but I'm really grateful for you lending your ear, your time, your patience, and I hope to see you very, very soon. You take care. And goodbye. Oh, and feel free to drop me an email or a DM if you want to talk to me, or if you have a video topic you would like to suggest. My DMs and my email inbox is always open. Okay, now you can go. Now you may leave. You take care and goodbye.